Hey, Rob Value here again. So I'm going to talk about the is slash ought problem. So this was popularised by David Hume, who's got to be one of my heroes as far as philosophers go, because I think he got this absolutely right, and I think this is the simple deciding factor in what is generally known as morality, and that it shows that morality is subjective, and that's the end of it. How does it show this? Okay, well, the is ought problem is that you take how everything is, you look at all the facts, and no one argues about what the facts are. We'll just take that as granted that you've got all the information. You look at different causes of action you could take, however many there are, and again you look at the facts about what would happen if you did all those things as far as you know. So you've got facts about that. If I did this, that would happen. If I did this, that would happen. If I did this, that would happen. Okay, so that's the is. You've got like the before and the after for all of them. But the thing is, you get to the ought. What ought I do? Ought I to do? What should I do? So how do you get from the is to the ought? Well, you need some way of choosing, some way of making a preference. Even choosing randomly would be a way of choosing. That is a way in itself. So if you say, well, I'm going to choose based on this system because this is, I think this is what you should do. You should use this system to decide what you're to do. But then there's any number of other systems you could have used to decide what to do. So then you say, well, which of those systems should I use? And you've got the same question again, which system should I use? And the only way you can answer that is if you've got some other system, a meta system, which can evaluate those systems and say, well, this one is best because of this reason, or this one is best because of that reason. And just like, well, why is that best? Why is what that produces better than what any of these other meta systems could produce? Why ought you follow that one and not another one? And how can you determine that? By having a meta system. And the problem goes on and on and on. And the only way it can end is by an assertion, by someone just saying, this is how I think things should be. Well, it can either just be, say, if I'm making decisions, this is how I think things should be, or I could say, this is how some other person thinks things should be, according to me. Or I could say, I'm representing whatever group, and that's what everyone thinks things should be. And then that's it. That's the end. That's the only way you can end that chain, is by some sort of assertion like that. And basically that assertion is where the subjectivity comes in. It comes down to the desires of whoever it is who's making that assertion or who's being represented. So that makes it subjective. If you had a different person making the decision, you'd get different assertions and different outcomes. So it's dependent on the person. So if you've just got one person and it's basically, this is how I want things to be, then obviously that's entirely subjective. Now, by the way, a lot of people might think is, this is what's best for, this might be like a group of immediate people around me, it might even be people in general or whatever. But you've got two problems. Well, one, that's still subjective, because it just depends on what those group of people happen to be. Even if it's everyone who's alive now, it's still subjective based on what they want or how they want things to be. If people were different, you'd get a different answer. So, in a few years' time, if they were in the same situation, they might decide they should do something else. So it's, again, dependent on ultimately on their opinion of how things should be. But obviously the other problem is if I'm deciding on behalf of anyone other than myself, I'm assuming I know properly what they want. So that's one problem, and also putting everyone's wants into one decision isn't something you can easily do objectively either. You've normally got to make compromises, so actually it's not going to represent exactly what everyone wants. It's going to be a best compromise. But even if you assume you can get a best compromise, it's still a subjective one, in that it only applies to that group that you're talking about. And there's just no way to get around this as far as I can see. It just comes down to asserting, and I'm not saying there's a problem with that. That is just how things work. That is just describing how things are. It's just the nature of the is-ought situation. Opal thinks differently. Oh. What, you've solved it? Okay. Well, alright. Yeah. Okay. Opal solved it. Oh no, she hasn't. She was calling another dog a twat. You could say, well, the thing that I want, that is what should happen. You could start it off again and go, no, it's not just an assertion. What I want, that is what should happen. But then you're in the same situation. Why should that happen? And if you're trying to figure out why that should happen instead of alternatives, you need a system to figure out out, don't you? And then which system do you use? Which is the best system? You can't decide that without a meta system, and so it goes on. So it's kind of like with the God situation, if something has to create something all the time, it just goes on forever. Okay, I hope I've made that clear. Thanks very much, bye.